What is going on YouTube? It is your boy MrBaboon back with a reaction video. So we are reacting to episode 3 for Frederick the Great. I am excited to learn about him some more. Episode 1 and episode 2 was definitely interesting. I definitely will say that. So we're going to learn about this some more, but before we get into it, make sure you guys do check the description down below. We'll have the video, the channel link, and my Twitch link. Yeah, check the description. We'll have that. So that way, if you guys want to watch the video, go check out the channel. You guys can. I think that's about it. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. We're going to go ahead and get into this. Let's go and learn some more about Frederick the Great.
11th, 1741. It's the morning after the Battle of Mulvitz. Frederick has had his first victory, and he's not happy about it. See, his general had told him to flee, that his army was about to be destroyed, so he had done so. Yet then that same general had turned the battle around and delivered victory. Meanwhile, Frederick had wandered in the dark, nearly being captured and hiding in a house until morning. He was embarrassed, but he had learned a great deal. Mulvitz would be his school. Never again would he abdicate command to another or cut his losses when victory seemed possible. His cavalry had performed poorly, he needed to do something about that, but he also saw how his advancing infantry had terrified the enemy. Something to note there. And though improvements did need to be made, he had his victory. He had Silesia, and he would fight to keep it for 22 years.
Damn. 22 years.
Thanks so much to Ren for being a simple and effective way to help make a difference in the climate crisis. Learn more after the episode.
Frederick's invasion of Silesia, on the thinnest pretenses and without even a formal declaration of war, catapulted him to international stardom. Across Europe, people scrambled to learn all they could about this rash and dynamic young king. How had a nothing power like Prussia, a scattershot part of the Holy Roman Empire, caught the mighty Habsburgs napping? Sales of his book, The Anti-Machiavel, shot up, and his correspondence with Voltaire, written on both sides with the intention that it be shared, circulated among philosophers. When Frederick had invaded, he told his ministers that he wanted to see his name in the gazettes, and boy did he get that. But in truth, this was not all about Frederick's enormous ego. It was also about putting Prussia on the map. When he came to the throne, Prussia was neither a fully independent kingdom nor a state in the Holy Roman Empire. It existed in the shadowland in between. The soil was sandy and poor, its territory separated, and the population only numbered 2.2 million, meaning forget a superpower like Habsburg Austria. Before the war, Prussia's biggest rival was neighboring Saxony. Yet by invading Silesia, he announced that Prussia was attempting to join the great nations of Europe. This wasn't some German state, this was a kingdom. But despite his boldness crossing the border, when he entered Silesia, most of Europe assumed Austria would crush this upstart. But then Mulvitz proved them wrong and changed everything.
They changed everything.
Filing a simple return for free with TurboTax?
We're going to learn how they change everything.
Feels pretty good.
See if you qualify
There you go.
at TurboTax.com.
Still got a little bit longer on the set. On these, you know, like, what can you do? Am I right? See, this one we can skip though.
It exposed Austria's weakness. And if you've ever watched any of our episodes on the Siege of Vienna, or Jewish pirates, or the 30 Years' War, you'd know that about 80% of Europe at this time was spoiling to take a swing at the Habsburgs. Many in Europe, including Frederick, also fundamentally hated the idea of Maria Theresa, a woman heading one of the great powers. Not only...
Let me know if you guys want to see me react to those videos he just talked about right there. Let me know. I can get those, and I can get those reacted to. Let me know if you guys want to see that.
Did they not want her ruling Austria? They also wanted to break the tradition of the Habsburg line automatically being elected Holy Roman Emperor. Of course, in this case, a woman couldn't legally be elected, but Maria was pushing for her husband's election. So, sensing weakness after Mulvitz, France, Spain, Bavaria, and Saxony pounced. And thus, the First Silesian War became merely a part of the much wider War of Austrian Succession. And if all of that sounds complicated, it's because it is. Sadly,
It
we're going
definitely
to
does
have to
sound
gloss over a
complicated.
bunch of stuff since this is a series about Frederick and not this unbelievably convoluted war where countries change sides faster than Loki's in the MCU. But basically what you need to know is that at moments, Frederick had rung the dinner bell. Habsburg's back on the menu, boys. Get a piece while it lasts. A coalition formed around Prussia with the hope of carving up Habsburg lands in a partition. But
I would say this YouTube channel, I really am enjoying, even though this is the first time watching any of these kind of videos from this channel, episode 1, 2, and now 3. I do enjoy the animation and the way he does his videos. I really do enjoy that. So we probably will see more of this channel.
But Frederick worried that if that happened, these powers might get too powerful and overwhelm Prussia as well. So, Frederick's diplomats contacted their Austrian counterparts and cut a deal. They signed a secret truce so that both could recover strength while their troops still pretended to be at war. This lasted for a few months until Frederick, worried Maria Theresa was coming back for Silesia, repudiated the treaty and joined the Allied campaign in Bohemia. But not long after Frederick arrived, the Allied march toward Vienna broke up. So turned out, it was Frederick's army that took the blow when Maria Theresa's brother-in-law, Charles of Lorraine, arrived with 30,000 troops to take the invaded territory back. And on May 17th, 1742, pursuing Austrians caught half of the Prussian army. Dug in around a village to meet the Austrian attack, they were instructed to hold until the king's part of the army could arrive and take direct command. Frederick was not about to let a mere general steal his thunder again, okay? But once he arrived, it was still a confused engagement. Frederick drove off the Austrian cavalry with a mounted charge backed by artillery, but it was a dry summer day, and soon, huge banks of dust obscured any vision of the battlefield. Central command broke down. Cavalry on both sides got lost, then quit the battle to pillage the enemy baggage trains. It then became a house-to-house brawl of infantry and artillery through the burning town that only ended when Frederick led a huge square of 24 battalions into the Austrian flank. Now, while technically a draw, the Austrians abandoned the field, giving Frederick the victory. Not to mention, diplomatically, he also won out. For when the British pushed both parties to the negotiating table, Frederick once again was allowed to keep almost all of Silesia. 2 months later, the First Silesian War was over. Yet he knew this was a temporary peace, and that there was work to do. While the Prussian infantry was solid, the cavalry had performed poorly in both battles. So he went about restructuring and reforming his cavalry forces to be more disciplined and aggressive, so they'd serve him better when Maria Theresa came for her captured province. Oh, and she was going to. In fact, Maria Theresa had flipped the script. 2 years before, she'd been fighting alone against a major coalition, but now she'd set up a new anti-French alliance bankrolled by Britain. And with Russia and Saxony interested in joining, Frederick worried she was about to seek revenge. So then he built a rival alliance between Prussia, Bavaria, Sweden, and 2 German states, with the goal of restoring the Bavarian lands taken so far in the war. France also declared its support. Then on August 15th, 1744, Frederick crossed back into Bohemia, launching the Second Silesian War, which went sideways almost immediately. The campaign depended on the French tying up Charles of Lorraine and his Austrians in the west, so he couldn't return to Bohemia. But that went out the window when King Louis XV fell ill leading the French army, and Charles disengaged. Then Saxony switched sides away from France and allied with Austria, meaning Prussia now had an enemy on its border. Meanwhile, Austrian guerrilla forces hounded Frederick out of Bohemia by just savaging his supply lines. And realizing this was unattainable, he pulled back to defend Silesia. Things got worse. Austria formed a new alliance with Britain, Saxony, and the Dutch Republic, with secret plans to partition Prussia the same way the powers had tried to carve up the Habsburg lands. Then Frederick's ally, the Holy Roman Emperor, dropped dead, and his son made peace with Austria, and finally, in May, Charles of Lorraine crossed the giant mountains into Lower Silesia, leading a force of 60,000 Austrian and Hungarian troops, plus their Saxon allies. Frederick knew he had to act.
You got hit with another ass. Damn. This ass shouldn't take much long. Hopefully we skip this one. Okay. We can't.
Battle of Hohenfriedberg, June 4th, 1745, 7 a.m. Frederick told his troops to leave their campfires burning.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but would this be like 5 years into him being in charge and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Would this be 5 years, 1745? Because it started in 1740. Yeah, so it would be 5 years, correct?
They performed the night march. In darkness, they'd slipped out of camp and crowded across a bridge, right past the Austrian forces, for they were not the objective. Instead, Frederick wants to hit the Saxons first and destroy them before rolling up on the rest of the Austrian forces. But they've been spotted. Shots ring out. Prussian and Saxon cavalry clash together in a vicious night.
My drink ran down the wrong Oh. My bad. My drink went down the wrong tube. My bad. Ugh.
Battle. Pistol flashes light up gleaming sword blades. The Saxon camp begins to mobilize, but the infantry pushes through, and the Saxon formations start to dissolve. By first light, the Saxon force is already routed, and Frederick's right turns to engage the main Austrian force. Hours of gunpowder and blood follow, and the next day, Frederick sits on his horse in the courtyard of the palace he's taken as his own. He has won his greatest victory to date, and now he is honoring the troops that, more than anything, made it possible. The Bayreuth Dragoons, his heavy cavalry. At the climax of the battle, when things had still hung in the balance, they had spotted a hole in the Austrian line. And by charging through that gap, they had overrun 20 enemy battalions and captured 2,500 prisoners. They'd broken the Austrians and only taken 94 casualties doing so. Now they parade their war trophies into the square. 67 battle flags of Austrian and Saxon units torn from enemy hands. There was still fighting to do, but when the king returned to Berlin, he would be doing so under a new name, Frederick the Great.
And actually, on that note of fighting still to do, I kind of want to switch gears and talk for a second about how we can all help battle the climate crisis. As I've looked around for some of the best practices to help out in this space, one method that kept coming up.
I want to say this is it.
And talking with a group called Red, who inception, mind you, thousands of years.
Yeah, I think this is it.
Contributions start helping out today by learning more.
Yeah, that's it for the video. Let me know what you guys think about this episode 3 for Frederick the Great. Let me know what you guys think. It was a really well done video, if I'm being honest. I mean, really well told and everything. We still got 2 more episodes to go. So, I'm going to go ahead and upload this one and get the next episode ready to get recorded. So, I will see you guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. Check the description. So that way you guys can go to the channel or the video. Or I know that was coming. Or or my Twitch where we will be doing smoke sessions and gaming sessions, all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be fun. So, I will see you guys in the next one. Positivity is key. Motivation is key. Happiness is key. You guys watch each other. I will see you guys in the next video. You guys stay safe.